The biggest advice that I would give anybody that wants to, take that step forward and step out their comfort zone is remove I can't from your dictionary. Because I felt like once I realized that word doesn't exist, that phrase doesn't exist for me anymore, I felt like that's when my mind just became way open-minded. And all the opportunities that I would have not seen if I had just said, oh, I can't do it because so-and-so is happening within my life, or I can't do it because something else is coming up. Once I removed all of that and I realized that, why do you want to do it? Is the reason why you want to do it because you want to benefit yourself? Is the reason why you want to do it is because, you want to do it in remembrance of someone? Or do you want to, there's so many reasons why people run for certain positions. But if that big why is not big enough for you to take that step, then you don't really want it at the end of the day. And that's what I really believed.
Hey, my name is Anisha Patel, and I'm obsessed with all things career development. Whether that's navigating your professional journey, gaining clarity, or building the confidence to reach your goals, I'm here to support you in crafting your roadmap to success. I've grown a podcast that has reached thousands of people across the globe. I'm growing an online business, and I'm stepping outside of my 9-to-5 to build a career of my dreams. I've walked the path of transformation myself, and now I'm here to share insights, strategies, and stories to help you carve out a career that you love, or even a podcast you've been dreaming of creating, but you've not taken the leap to start yet. If you want to connect with me in between podcast episodes, I share my personal career insights and behind-the-scenes stories with my newsletter community, which you can join using the link in the show notes. This is the Pharmacist Diaries podcast. Hey there, pharmacy family. Welcome back to the Untold Stories of Pharmacy Students series. Today, I want to talk to you about a powerful mindset shift that can change everything in your pharmacy journey. As a university lecturer, I've come across a lot of students who believe that success in pharmacy is about achieving top marks in everything you do and being a perfect student. But this episode is here to help you understand that the truth about success is your ability to persist, to learn, and to grow, even when everything seems stacked against you. Meet Emeka Onwudiwe, the pharmacy student who went from struggling with GCSEs to becoming the national president of the British Pharmaceuticals Student Association. And no, that's not a typo. This isn't a story about someone who's had it easy. This is a masterclass in turning your biggest challenges into the most powerful opportunities. We're diving deep into a journey that will make you rethink everything you know about student leadership. From academic struggles to national representation, Emeka's story is about to become your new roadmap for success. Whether you've ever felt like you're not good enough or you're dreaming of making a real impact, this episode is going to change everything. So grab your coffee, drop everything else, and get ready for a leadership blueprint that nobody else is talking about. Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, Emeka.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
This has been a long wait for us to get this episode up and running.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
We're here.
No, I'm really happy. Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing it. So I want to really dive into the episode and just get into where you started as a pharmacy student. But before we really dive into pharmacy, tell me about kind of your academic struggles, your challenges, starting from when you did your GCSEs.
Yeah, so I did my GCSEs 2018. I did it Wilmington Grammar School for boys. So, going to a grammar school, we had a different level of expectation because obviously you have to do the 11 plus to get into it. So to be honest, I feel like that expectation it drove me in different ways. And I believe that, when I got the outcome of my GCSEs, it was a bit of a shock. I'll be honest, there was a lot of factors that played into that. But a lot of it was down to, lack of preparation, not really understanding what you're going into because, back then GCSEs, teachers would always ring into your ear like, it's like the life or death. It's like, if you don't do well, you're not going to be able to do so and so. So obviously as a young child, you're really trying to go hard. But I feel like by the time I kind of realized it was probably a bit too much for me to kind of, cover all the bases for me to really get the scores I wanted. But I came out of it. I was disappointed, I won't lie. I felt like I should have done a lot better, but I feel like that was the best time for me to achieve those results because I feel like God was telling me to that was not my path because if I had got good results, I probably would have stayed in a grammar school, but I ended up going to a public school. So I went to a completely different setting. I went to a sixth form college that was close to my home as well. I went down the non-traditional route. I didn't really know about BTEC, so I ended up doing BTEC, level 3 extended diploma in health and social care. And I'll be honest, if someone told me at the start of grammar school that I was going to do that, I would have told you you're lying to me. But, I ended up doing health and social care, and I feel like that had to change my mindset because it was a predominantly female course and I didn't really know what paths I could take. I know I didn't really want to do like nursing or like occupational therapy. I knew I wanted to do something like maybe become a doctor. I didn't really know anything about pharmacy, to be honest. I had uncles that were pharmacists, but I didn't really understand what they were really doing. So pharmacy didn't really come into the picture until I was kind of in back end of year 12 when they were asking me a lot about where do you want to go, what universities you want to go to. So yeah, I started researching on universities and yeah, UEA came into the picture and that kind of defined my path of going into pharmacy because I saw pharmacy with foundation year. I saw that I could get into pharmacy with my health and social care and I knew that I could get the grades in health and social care to kind of permit me to do pharmacy. So it was kind of two worlds that came together and clashed in a good way. So yeah, I believe that, to be honest, the GCSEs, it was at the beginning when I actually, got the results, it was definitely a sucker punch, but I believe that that was the best path for me because if I had done well, I would have stayed in a grammar school, I would have done traditional A-levels. I might have maybe done medicine, but I wouldn't have been where I am today and I wouldn't have learned all the lessons I came across through me going through those different stages. So yeah, even though it was a GCSE struggle right now, I can say that I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, sweet. I can completely resonate with that. That's really tough when you go through those sorts of challenges. What was it about studying or having to do GCSEs that was really hard? Like, have you figured out the reasoning why you didn't do as well as you expected?
Yeah, I was really bad at balancing. I was so bad at balancing. My mom would be a testament to that. I would always come home from maybe doing rugby. I would always engage myself in extracurricular activities. And my mom would always ask me, are you sure you can handle this? GCSEs around the corner. But I was someone that always used to I loved hobbies. I loved doing a lot of stuff. I played rugby throughout my secondary school. So it was something I was really passionate about. So when exams came, I knew it was really important. But I believe that I didn't put aside those hobbies to kind of focus on the studying. And I feel like that was actually at the detrimental to my results. But as I said before, I wouldn't take it back. But if I could look back and be like, you know what, where would I have focused more? Where should I have put more emphasis on my studying? Where should I have maybe sacrificed a little bit? It would definitely be, some of the external hobbies I was engaging in.
Before we dive into the next part of this episode, I want to share something I've been absolutely loving lately. I bought these blue light blocking glasses from OcuShield and I'm absolutely obsessed. As a pharmacy student or pharmacist, we are constantly staring at screens all day long. And for me personally, I'm also using them several evenings of the week when I work on my podcast. So I was feeling really guilty about this and having so much screen time in the evening. And I knew it was definitely impacting my sleep quality. So I treated myself to these glasses. I wear them every night when I get home from work and I'm absolutely loving it. The frames are really stylish and more importantly, they obviously filter out the really harsh blue light that can negatively impact your sleep cycle and cause eye fatigue. I've noticed a really big difference in my sleep quality and I wanted to share it with you because it might be a tip for something that you could treat yourself to as well. I found a 20% off family and friends discount code on their website, which you can access from the link in the show notes. Now let's get back to the episode. And going into pharmacy, it's an intense course. It's not easy. It takes up a lot of your time. Mm-hmm. You've got to be good at time management, or you need to learn to figure that out quite quickly and be really organized with understanding where you need to be, what you need to be focused on, how do you prepare for a lecture, what do you have to do with your labs, and then do your lab reports. You've got your calculations, you've got assessments, OSCEs, exams. It's a lot. And you've, successfully thrived as a student, but you still have been through some other challenges along the way. Yeah. I guess starting with first year, did you just kind of slide into pharmacy and figure out that you needed to focus on the studying element more than extracurricular to begin with and kind of flip the script?
Yeah.
Or did you still find it difficult to manage your time?
I feel like first year, I found it much difficult to manage my time because I did foundation year and foundation year was predominantly during the COVID period And I'll be so honest with you, during the exams in foundation year, they were all online, apart from the calculation exam. And I was normally good at maths, so I knew maths was not really the area I had to put so much focus on. It was more on the science, the biology, the chemistry. So yeah, I feel like doing those exams online, 24-hour exams, you don't really have much emphasis on studying like the way you now have to study for the in-person exams. So I believe that going into first year, it was kind of a false reality. Because when I went into first year, my first exams in January were all in person, and they were like back to back. So they were like medicinal chemistry, pharmacology, and drug delivery, and they were all in person. And obviously you had to like have the information in your brain. You couldn't go to external resources. You couldn't go to your friend. You couldn't go on Google. So I felt like that changed. And it was only within the space of, to be honest, between September to December. So it was only about a 3-4 month space. And I don't believe there was enough time for my brain to kind of engage and be like, you know what, now you need to really understand studying. Because I didn't even know like how to study. Like if someone asked me September of 2021, how do you study? I'll look at you like, I go on, you know, the Blackboard, which is our site for university. I might look at workshops. I might ask the teachers if I don't understand it. But when it comes to my own personal revision, I didn't really have a set plan of revising. It was kind of just freestyling and just kind of understanding it and then hoping that certain topics would come up in the exam. But I understood that going through pharmacy, you have to have a complete basis and a complete understanding of everything.
What do you think you've actually changed then in terms of your strategy? What's worked for you?
To be honest, with me, I realized that I have a very good memory. And I didn't realize that until I started doing reassessment, because reassessment period was a time I was really focusing on revision. I believe that, so for my first reassessment period, I did it from June and I didn't go home. All my friends were going to different festivals and I kind of just had to stay in the library from June all the way to August. So about 9 weeks of pure studying, but I knew that if I wanted to progress in pharmacy, and back then as well, I had just got into my role within the BPSA. And obviously to be on the BPSA, you have to be a pharmacy student. So that was also another added external pressure on top of that. So all of that added together kind of motivated me to, go through reassessment. And it taught me a lot of different studying techniques. With me, I like to make questions based on the revision notes. So based on the way I revise, I kind of remember the notes. So I go back on my notes. I do a lot of active recall. I do a lot of memorizing. And then I kind of use the questions that I create to kind of structure it in my brain. So when it comes to the exam, if I see a key word, maybe it might not be that specific question, but I'll be able to draw upon key information from certain questions. So yeah, I'll be honest. So for me, it's basically just questions and just having that focal point of understanding where the certain information are going to come into your brain, and kind of the way I kind of structure it in my brain, that's how I use the question. So it doesn't work for everyone. I know some people that it has helped. I know some people like to do maybe pictures. Some people like to make fancy notes, pretty notes. With me, my notes weren't the prettiest, but they got the job done at the end of the day. But I say, yeah, definitely questions and understanding where to assign the information and making questions based on the workshop questions that were given by the teachers. Because I feel like going through the reassessment period, I actually went through the syllabus like thoroughly. There was no gaps. I wasn't picking and choosing what I wanted to do. I had to go through every aspect because I knew, especially with UEA, they can make the littlest topic that's one slide that could be a 25 marker question. So once I understood that harsh reality, I realized that, yeah, I'm not going to take any chances this time.
I've been there. Where there's the one slide that you thought, nah, mate, that's not coming on the exam. And it's like 50% of the questions. And you're like, no, how did that happen to me?
The heart drop is crazy.
Yeah, it's bad. And that's tough. And reassessments are hard. Yeah. And you've been through it a few times.
Yeah.
So talk me through, I guess, the emotions that you go through, because from a pharmacy point of view, did you ever get to that point where you thought this is not the right choice for me, when you have to go through reassessments all the time and having to then miss out on going home for the summer holidays because you need to stay back and kind of study and redo things? Was that hard?
Yeah, it was really, really hard. I feel like it was a big mental challenge in my brain, because a lot of the things I enjoy is a part of my lifestyle as well, is obviously being outside, going to certain events. And in my brain, I was like, being inside, being confined into a space, it just wasn't my environment. But I understood that if I wanted to reach the goal, which is progressing on to the next year, something had to give. And I believe that was the reason why I was in that position to put myself in that reassessment. I didn't sacrifice enough throughout the semesters for me to be like, yeah, I had enough to kind of go on to the next year. So this is kind of, I feel like, a scenario that had to play out, where it taught me how to revise. It taught me how to, be disciplined. It taught me what to sacrifice and kind of how to manage my time as well. and knowing that, you know, certain things, once you do an exam, my mom tells me this all the time, once you do an exam and you do it well, the exam is gone and you don't have to rewrite it again. But if you play chances, you go 50-50 with it, and then you don't pass the exam, you have to go through the whole process again, and it's going to be 10 times worse. So I feel like that was ringing through my brain a lot more from the first summer of first year. And then ever since that, I feel like I got better. Even though I did hit reassessment again in second year and I hit it again in third year, it wasn't based on the things that kind of put me back before. It wasn't, I learned from those mistakes, and it was just new lessons that I had to learn throughout the journeys.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you need a little bit more time, and it sounds like you need less distraction, because in the months that you're in the summer, there's less people on campus. You don't have the distraction of lots of other activities, going out with friends, maybe late nights, trying to manage your day-to-day attending lectures. You've got that kind of dedicated space.
Yeah.
But now you just need to transition and figure out how to create that dedicated space on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
The fourth year, you've kind of, you know, this not going to happen.
Oh, impossible.
You're not going to have, this is the year that you like get through it and you're like, I'm done.
100%.
And I'm going to qualify and move forward. And I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see how you have been through all of those challenges, but so many other incredible things are happening in your life. I really want to dive into how you got involved with BPSA and your motivation to apply for the role as president.
Yeah, so starting with my journey into the BPSA, you know what? It's a very funny journey. I started all the way back so this was May 2021, and I believe it came at a really good time because by May, I didn't know anything about the BPSA, and it was actually March. So it was just before the annual conference, which normally happens during April. And to be honest, during that time, I was really lacking motivation in carrying on pharmacy because I deferred my exam because my dad passed away. So the first year, I didn't do my exams in January because I was just coming back from Nigeria. So all the 3 exams that I was going to take in January, I deferred it all to August. So in my brain, I was like, I know this summer is going to be me staying inside. I have about 3 to 4 exams I have to do. Is this really something I want to do? Should I just really focus on my, extracurricular activities, or is pharmacy something I want to pursue? And I feel like BPSA came at the perfect time because, I have to give a shout out to Craig. Craig was the one that kind of put me on in BPSA. He got an email that I didn't see. And Craig was like, you know what, Emeka, let's go to the conference. And I questioned him. I was like, oh, what is this conference, educational conference? I have exams to revise for. Like, what type of commitment is it? Do I have to pay for it? All of these questions we were having in the conversation. But it was just like, oh, it looks really cool. The UEA was really sponsoring a lot of students to go to it. And, the way the whole annual conference was kind of organized and being promoted, it was very interesting. It wasn't something you kind of see on a day-to-day basis. And it was for the students. You could tell by the way they were promoting it. So, you know what? I applied for it, but unluckily, I applied for it. I thought I had got the ticket because they had given me the confirmation ticket, but they told me that they allocated 1 extra ticket. So they now told me that I had to pay for it. And bearing in mind, back then, it was about £220 for a package 1 ticket, which includes accommodation. And obviously, as a first-year student, £220 sounded like a lot and a lot of money. So in the back of my head, I wasn't going to pay that through my personal finances. And I kind of resorted, I wasn't going to go to the conference. I told Craig, a warmer as well, that also went. I told her, you guys can go. And to be honest with me, I'm not going to pay that 200 and something pounds because I had other things that I was kind of thinking about in the future. Obviously, my exams was in my head and other things I was doing. So it wasn't until I had a conversation with my mom. And obviously, I told my mom prior that I'd got the ticket. And then I told her that the ticket got rescinded because they had allocated 1 more extra ticket. And then my mom just told me that she was going to pay for it. And to be honest, I never asked her. And it was quite surprising because I never really asked my mom for money realistically, but she was really determined for me to go to this conference. And I believe that changed my mindset of going. Because if I'd gone through the uni, I kind of saw it as like, not a holiday, but kind of a thing you're doing with friends, a different environment for a week. You can have a bit of fun. But with my mom paying and kind of using her money to kind of contribute and kind of believe in me to kind of gain something from this conference, I knew I had to do something and come out of it and be like, I gained this and this at the end of the conference. So it definitely caused a shift in mindset for me. And yeah, so my mom paid for it. I had got the ticket. I actually was not a member. So I was a member a week before the annual conference started because I realized when I got to the registration, it said BPSA and RPS number. So I had to go through all of that. And then, I believe that was the start of my journey where it unlocked a lot of opportunities for me. And I can't lie to you, the first day I went into the conference, it was just a shock. I felt like I was just living in a dream and I never really stopped until the end when I was leaving Aston, and I was like, what have I just done? Because I met so many people that I wouldn't meet on a day-to-day basis, but they were just so inspiring in their own ways. They all had their personal stories of why they wanted to come to annual conference, why they started pharmacy, who motivated them to get into pharmacy, and what they actually want to do with their careers. A lot of them were younger than me, a lot of them were a bit older than me, but they all had aspirations. And naturally in that environment, you have to be inspired. Like, it's literally impossible for you to not be inspired and feel motivated and want to do more. And I had a lot of self-thinking with myself because I never really knew what I wanted to do with pharmacy before that conference. I never really did any public speaking per se in regards to pharmacy. I never really thought about what I wanted to do past like qualifying and graduating. But I feel like in that annual conference, speaking with so many different speakers that came, so many people from different sectors, I felt like I gauged a lot more what I wanted to do with pharmacy by the end of it. But I feel like the main thing I gained from that conference was a lot of character development, a lot of skills that I had within the surface area, but I needed an experience for me to kind of bring that out of me. And yeah, that's how, I went through the conference now. I spoke to a lot of people that were kind of on the executive team, and then elections came into play. So this was around Thursday time. They started telling us that a form was going to be released for us to kind of put ourselves forward for the elections. And I was really asking myself like, oh, elections. Some people were telling me, oh, you should run for this, but I never really pinpointed like really what I wanted to do until I saw Eastern Area Coordinator. So this is me representing my area of my university. So I was representing UEA, University of East Anglia. I was representing Nottingham, DMU, Lincoln, and Hertfordshire. So 5 universities. And I felt like that Aero coordinator, it wasn't just me representing them, but it was the skills that you kind of need to possess for you to really thrive in that role. So I knew there was going to be a lot of public speaking with your area conferences that you have to do twice a year. You also have road shows where you're promoting the BPSA membership, the RPS membership as well. And there was just a lot of things that I believed that this could be the next step for me. And it wasn't until the Friday where I was having a conversation with Craig, and Craig ran for the IT officer, and we were really doubting ourselves. We were like, oh, should we do this? Should we just wait a year? We got exams coming up. But you know what? Something in my head was just like, you only live once. How do you know if you're ever going to get the opportunity to come back to an annual conference? Bearing in mind, my mom paid for it as well, so it's not a guarantee. And I know I wasn't going to ask her to pay for it the next year. So I kind of had to make the most of the opportunity. And something in my brain was telling me I was going to regret it if I had left that conference and not put myself forward. Obviously, naturally in my brain, a lot of people were inspired in that conference. So a lot of people ran for the positions. So for the position I ran for, Eastern Area Coordinator, there was about 5 girls running. And in my brain, I was like, oh, does that put me at a disadvantage? Like, what should I do? But I kind of, I put those factors to the side. I kind of just focused on my speech. Why do I want to do it? Which is the main reason why you apply for any role. You have to have that big why. And that why has to be conveyed to the people that are going to be voting for you at the end of the day. So I kind of conveyed my speech. I thought about it a lot. I thought about what like specific topics that I would like to use in the area conferences that I could do if I got into the role. And all of those factors came together. And I was like, you know what, let me put myself forward for it. And I did. And, we thank God that, I got the role. But it was a roller coaster, to be honest. And I felt like that experience taught me a lot because I went in there, I never really done, like the public speaking that was done in that setting was, speaking to a lot of people that majority of them you didn't know, like about at the start of the conference, you didn't know any of them. And now you're speaking to them and you're basically asking them, you should vote for them, but you have to give them that why. And, I don't want to underestimate that, but it's a very difficult thing to do, especially with people that have no idea who you are and have kind of learned your character, learned who you are, but has only been there for a couple of days. So you really have that opportunity, that 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes to kind of convey why they should put their faith in you. And that's, if you think about it like that, it's a lot of pressure. But at the end of the day, once that time stops and once the end of the speech goes, like you can't go back to it. So you might as well give your all. And that was my mindset once I walked in. I remember walking in, I remember seeing everyone. It was kind of like, it was an enclosed area and everyone was kind of joined together, but there was about 50, 60 people there. And in my brain, I was like, you know what, like as soon as they say start, just show them who you are, kind of show them why you want to do this. And if it's meant for you, the journey will be meant for you. If I did not get that role, it wouldn't have put me down in a sense, but I thought like at the end of the day, I would have reflected and been proud that I put myself in that environment where I stepped out of my normal comfort zone and kind of put myself in a position where I'm learning a lot about myself. So yeah, I did the speech and you know what, I came into the speech actually with my phone. And the funny thing about this is that I was thinking, no, I need to read the speech on my phone. Like there's no way I can kind of speak about it from my mind. But something happened in that speech where I realized like I wasn't actually looking at my phone the whole time. So why was it in my hand? So I did something where I kind of dropped the phone, and I didn't realize I dropped the phone. And I kind of dropped the phone in the moment where I was talking about my dad, because I'd recently I think by that time my dad was about 5 months before after he passed. So I was talking about something where I was representing what he died from, and I was going to use that in one of the Aero conferences I was going to talk about. And in my brain, I felt naturally that this was something that was coming from my heart. It's not something I'd written on my phone. It's not something that I kind of planned to talk about. But when I was thinking in my brain, you know what, I need to talk about something where my Aero conferences is involved, and where I'm going to talk about representation and why I really want to do this role. And one of them is having a platform to talk about certain conditions and certain things that you go through in your life that are not talked about a lot, you know, going through the experience of gaining that education, as well as portraying to people that, you know, at the end of the day, certain things can happen to you, but it doesn't mean that, you know, that's the end of it. Life moves on afterwards. And I feel like for me, that was another reason why I wasn't going to run, because obviously I was still getting over the whole tragedy. But in the back of my head, I was like, if my dad was there, he would have told me to do the same thing, and it would have been something he would have been proud of. So I felt like when I was talking about my dad in that aspect of things and within the speech, something in me was just telling me to drop the phone, and I felt like that kind of changed everything for me. I felt a lot different after that speech, even though I didn't know if I had won, but something in me was just telling me, like, I'm proud of you, like, you've done really well. Even the questions that you have to answer, there's about 6 of us answering the questions, but in my brain, I was just thinking like, yo, this role is for you, like I could feel it. And then once, you know, they told me that I'd won, I felt like everything came together. It was like a full circle moment where I'd wished he was there, but I knew he was clapping in heaven. And at the end of the day, I felt like that was the best thing I could have asked for. And yeah, after that, everything just went flying from there. Like, I don't really know where the time went, but as soon as I got into the role of Eastern Aero coordinator, I felt like something changed within me. I started seeing life a lot differently. I started handling a lot of things differently. My mindset changed a lot. And you know, when you have that extra responsibility now, it really changes a lot of things within you. So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey through the BPSA and how I got into my first position.
What a good story, though.
Thank you.
What a good memory. And
Never
I
forget it.
always, Craig and Iwoma are always behind you and, you know, beside you along your journey, right? And you're such good friends.
100%.
And I love that. And it's actually really great to do stuff with other people that you know, whether it's attending the conference, whether it's applying for something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That pharmacy family and that community is really important.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your dad is really proud of you for all the things that you've done in your journey to date, and there's so many good things. So you did that for a year.
Yeah.
How was it actually managing the actual role? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. You know what? It was a lot of I feel like that is where leadership started for me, Eastern Aero coordinator, because you're managing a team of reps and liaisons, representatives from different universities, a lot of people that they don't actually know you. They're signing up to a position without knowing you, but your responsibility is making sure that the engagement within that area is of the level where the BPSA is striving from it. So you have to engage the students. A lot of them are probably joining BPSA for the first time. So they're coming to you with a lot of questions. And that was my first taste of leadership. That was my first taste of really understanding how to manage a team of people that I don't know. And it wasn't just a team of one people. It wasn't a team of 2. It was a team in every single university. So I felt like, yeah, it taught me a lot about how to manage personalities, how to deal with certain situations, how to kind of, you know, not always answer. Like when people ask you questions, if you actually do not know the answer, it's better off, you know, taking a step back, knowing who to maybe delegate the information to get the best answer. And I felt like a lot of those skills I learned through my Eastern Aero coordinator position. And yeah, it was a great year. You know, the team was amazing. Like we ended up being like such a close family at the end of it. And you know, it wasn't just me. I was one Aero coordinator out of 5. So having a group of Aero coordinators that are kind of going through the same journey, a lot of us or actually all of us, it was our first time on the BPSA executive. So, you know, all of us kind of being close together really helped me through that first year period as well. And obviously doing Aero conferences that was close to my heart. So, you know, Sickle, I did a first Aero conference on sickle cell. And bearing in mind, actually, my initial conference, the conference was done in November, and back in October, I was planning for another topic. So I was planning to do oncology, but then obviously my friend passed away from sickle cell about a week later due to sickle cell. And I felt like I didn't know much about sickle cell, to be honest, but the way it kind of hit me, I was like, you know what, is that tragedy, is it going to put you down, or are you going to find and use a platform that can kind of, advocate for what happened, kind of, ask people and tell people what sickle cell is, go through the process of reaching out to speakers and learning about the different aspects and how you can kind of help, with sickle cell. And I felt like something in me was just telling me I need to do my Aero conference on sickle cell, even though it was about 3 weeks to the conference. And I felt like maybe I didn't have enough time, but something was just telling me, like, if you're going to do something, you might as well do something you really care about. So yeah, I did it on sickle cell, and it was the best conference I believe I've ever done. Like, it was just such a touch me moment. Like, I didn't really understand like how to really run a conference, but I felt like me going into it and knowing the purpose in which I did it and expressing that purpose in the conference, it really set the tone for the rest of the day. And obviously the speakers were coming in, giving us the educational side. I had a panelist where I had a lot of sickle cell survivors that were obviously answering questions about how they're dealing with it. And I felt like the crowd really resonated with it. And, we had a lot of workshops as well. So there was different ways where we were implementing the knowledge we had learned through the conferences. And it really took me to a place where I was like, BPSA is more than just, going in, becoming an exec and, all the different benefits that you gain from it from a personal and individual point of view. But it's also a way where you can actually, it's a platform, like you can actually utilize it to kind of express what you want and what you care about. And yeah, it really taught me a lot. So when I did that, I realized that anything I want to do in life, I must care about it. If I don't have a reason, if I don't have a big why of why I want to do something, then there's no real reason for you doing it, because you're not going to do it to the best of your ability. So yeah, Eastern Aero coordinator was a really beautiful position, and I felt like it was the perfect first step for me to get myself in the door of, leadership, get myself in the door in the professional world as well. And it really allowed me to build my networking base. I got LinkedIn as well, and I really utilized LinkedIn a lot during becoming an Aero coordinator, reaching out to all of these healthcare professionals that I thought I was just going to get aired. I'll be honest, I was really scared during my first conference, because I was like, well, what happens if I don't get any speakers? Like, how are they going to, take a student seriously that's kind of like a first year? But you know what, they're just really nice. And I felt like when you're speaking to speakers, one of the main things I feel like you should always implement is telling them why you want to do your conference, what is your purpose of doing the conference. And a lot of them, they really resonate with that. And yeah, I feel like the whole experience of planning the conference and really meeting different individuals in different healthcare spaces as well, it really taught me a lot. And it really taught me about, how to benefit from your professional space as well as your networking space as well.
Awesome. I love that story.
Thank you.
And let's fast forward.
Yeah.
Next year comes around. Annual conference is in UEA.
Yeah.
And I met you for the first time when I came to speak.
Yeah.
And at that point, you then decided to step up your game. And you decided to apply for president.
Yeah.
How was that?
You know what? It still feels surreal. And it might be crazy saying that, knowing that I'm nearly at the end. I've got I'm in March now. I've got till July 1st. But I felt like, it was such a full circle moment. And I never, like, to be honest, before I went into the UEA conference, because it was led by obviously the Aero, the annual conference organizers, but we were all close friends. We were all in the same year. So it was basically all of us kind of working together to plan that conference at UEA. And I believe it was the first conference that UEA had done for the BPSA annual conference. So we really wanted to represent, bearing in mind the engagement within UEA and for the BPSA has just increased year after year. UEA has really dominated the executive positions, and I felt like it was such a perfect moment for UEA to kind of host the flagship event for the BPSA. So yeah, I felt like, before the conference, I had no clue. Like, there was conversations, what do you want to run for? But in the back of my mind, I felt like that was it, to be honest. I felt like that was the moment where I was just gonna, say that I've done, I was treasurer that year. I went through a lot as treasurer, a lot of ups and downs, but a lot of, learning curves as well. And I felt like, if my journey had ended here, I would be very happy. Being 2 years back to back on the exec is it's no easy feat, to be honest. And I feel like if I had left at that position, I would have been very proud. But yeah, going through annual conference, I never thought about it once. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, BPSA day, awards night, never thought about it until awards night ended. And, seeing Craig kind of lead that awards night, and, the way he kind of ended it as well, where he did a little flashback, he did a little story about, all the people that kind of helped him through his journey, and like, how BPSA kind of benefited him. And I felt like something in me when I was sitting there, I was like, do I really want to leave? Like, is there really not another position I believe I could add my own twist to? I could add my own identity mark to? And then obviously president came into my brain, and I was like, this could be something that I believe, if I do it well and I do it in a reason where I know I really want to do it, I believe it could change a lot of things. But I never really thought about it that much, even in that moment. It wasn't until really the next day when, elections we really ramped up. The election forms came out. Obviously, we were the executive position, so a lot of people were coming to us, asking us about questions for our respective positions. And it wasn't until, the Thursday afternoon, and then in my brain, I was like, if I do not run, I feel like I will regret it because I can add something to this president position. Every president I've known, so I've been on 3 mandates now. This is my 3rd mandate. So I've seen 2 different leadership positions and 2 different presidents, and all of them have been different in their own way. So with president, there's no set script. You don't have a set responsibility. You actually do not have a particular task to do, but your main task is making sure that everyone understands their responsibilities and everyone is comfortable within their roles and everyone is functioning within their role and they're very happy. Because with BPSA, it's more than just a professional space. It's also a personal well-being aspect as well. So all of these factors coming in together, I was just thinking, this is something that I believe I could do. Like, not just managing, people's responsibilities and making sure people understand what they're doing, but also from a personal well-being point of view, being there for people. BPSA mandate is a long year. You go through several exam periods. People will go through personal circumstances as well. But within me, I know naturally I love to listen to people. I love to talk to new people as well. And when people come to you about their vulnerabilities and certain things they go through, I really like to resonate with them in certain aspects because I know I've gone through a lot of circumstances that a lot of people can resonate with. So all of those factors coming in together, I was just thinking, you know what, at the end of the day, I feel like all of these qualities is something that you can add, as well as just not just add, but also develop and amplify within the role as president. So I was just like, there is nothing really stopping me, and I put myself forward for it. And, at the end of the day, in my mind, I was like, if I did not get it, I would not have been gutted for 1 minute because I believe that I had done so much within myself in terms of developing who I was when I came into BPSA back in Aston to who I am now at the end of the UEA conference. And the main thing I can say is that I have grown as a person. So if I can just take that away from me leaving the BPSA, I'll be more than happy. But, God willing, I'd got the position. And to be honest, when they actually told me that I'd won the position, it was like the time just stopped. And I was just like, wow, is this really real? Are you really leading the BPSA into the next mandate? And you have such a great team behind you. And, luckily for me, I had Craig's my vice president, Vicky's the treasurer, Sue's external relations officer. I had a lot of people that has been there with me throughout the journey. And I feel like, the team coming together, a lot of the team are brand new, but I really loved that experience because I knew how I felt when I came into the BPSA for the first time. I know how I felt when I went onto the executive position, and I knew how the people on those respective teams really took me under their wing and really taught me a lot. So I knew what I would want to do for people that don't know much about the BPSA, but have actually put themselves forward for an executive position. So it was really a great moment. And, being there with everyone and really just celebrating that Saturday, I don't think I'll ever forget in my whole life because it was just a perfect day. Everything went to plan. Everything went well. The whole ball night celebration at the end, and just really thanking a lot of people that brought me onto this journey because, to be president and, someone actually told me something at the end. I believe that the representation and as well as the fact that I think I was the first male black president on the BPSA. And I believe someone told me that and I didn't really know how to react. I know Noni was the first black president and her milestone last year was really sensational. So to really become the first black male president for the BPSA, I didn't really know how to take it. But all I could do and all I could really say was that I could only be gratitude and only give gratitude to my parents because they kind of put me in a position where, they've been through a lot. Back then when I was a child, I wasn't the easiest. I was going through certain struggles and going through not a good path, but my parents still believed in me and they saw something in me where they were like, my son's going to be successful in one way. Even though right now he might not be going through the best path, but at the end of the day, something in him and something's going to be like that turning point. And once that turning point comes, he's just going to go flying. And they were completely right because once something turned in my brain, I felt like I never looked back and I just kept on wanting more and wanting more. And I felt like that want for more was the reason why I took that step forward and decided to lead the BPSA this mandate.
Boom. Wow, that's so cool. I love that story. Thanks for sharing that.
No worries.
And you've had a great year and you've got an amazing team. Yeah, you really have an amazing team, but they love you. There's so much love for your role, your support, your energy.
Yeah.
I mean, I interviewed Harvey just now and he talked so highly about having good conversations with you and supporting him on his journey as well. I guess I'd like to end the episode thinking about other students, because I think students find the word leadership quite daunting.
Yeah.
They find opportunities quite challenging to showcase what leadership skills look like. Now, this episode has really showcased how you could easily get involved with leadership opportunities.
Yeah.
And what I think students don't realize is that some of these executive committee roles are perfect opportunities, and they give you so much transferable skill when it comes to applying for jobs in the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
When you go to when you qualify as a pharmacist and you finish your GPHC exam and you're looking for jobs, these skills, these experiences, these stories, like organizing an entire conference is a really amazing opportunity to showcase that leadership, communication, project management.
Yeah.
You're also managing lots of other people, having to delegate tasks, keep everyone happy, mentoring. There's so much that you can showcase from that. So what advice, I guess, do you have for students who are feeling a little bit scared to apply for a role? Or maybe, what advice do you have to get them to sort of start?
Yeah, I would say the biggest advice that I would give anybody that wants to, take that step forward and step out their comfort zone is remove I can't from your dictionary. Because I felt like once I realized that word doesn't exist, that phrase doesn't exist for me anymore, I felt like that's when my mind just became way open-minded. And all the opportunities that I would have not seen if I had just said, oh, I can't do it because so-and-so is happening within my life, or I can't do it because something else is coming up. Once I removed all of that and I realized that, why do you want to do it? Is the reason why you want to do it because you want to benefit yourself? Is the reason why you want to do it is because, you want to do it in remembrance of someone? Or do you want to, there's so many reasons why people run for certain positions. But if that big why is not big enough for you to take that step, then you don't really want it at the end of the day. And that's what I really believed. So once I realized that I can't is not in my dictionary more, and it was more down to the fact that, why do I want to do it? What is making me go for it? If that why and that want was the biggest reason why I want to do it, then I knew that position was for me. So I would say, never give up at the end of the day. Never feel like you can't do something. Don't look at other people at the end of the day, because everyone's different in their own way. I know when you're running for a position, it's very easy for you to ask people and hear conversations where saying people are running for X and Y positions, and they might be running for your position, but that shouldn't, that shouldn't be at a detriment to your mind. That shouldn't put you away. That shouldn't put you off because, you're going to have competition, because at the end of the day, life is a competition. And I feel like I've really learned that life is really a big competition. And at the end of the day, if something is meant for you, if you're really meant to go there, and if that is position that, I believe God has put me forward for, then I believe I will be there. Do you understand? So if it's not meant for me, then, I have a different path. But the only reason why and the only way you can really help yourself is for you to step out your comfort zone, remove I can't from your dictionary, and really understand that there's no limitations in this life. There is really, especially as a pharmacy student, especially with the development of IP prescribing coming into it, like realistically, as a pharmacist, there is nothing we can't do. Like there is really nothing we can't do. So I feel like you can really learn that as a student, where you engage in the professional world, you really engage with your networking space, and you really realize that as a student, no matter how young you are, it's not about your age, it's not about where you come from as a man, it's really about what you have in your brain and what you've kind of learned and what you believe you can give. Because when you're speaking to people that might have 50 years experience in the space, they listen to you because they're seeing something from a perspective that they can't see, because it's your perspective, is what you've gone through, and you're adding something that potentially someone else that might have way more experience than you might actually learn from you. And I feel like that reality thinking, how can someone that's, done so and so much in the professional space learn so much from someone that just started university? Once you realize that is something that's very common nowadays, you really understand that you can't put yourself down. You have to put yourself in these positions and understand. And that's the only way you're going to know if you can thrive, if you actually put yourself in these environments. So I'd say always take the first step. Take the first step. See if you wobble. Even if you wobble a bit, have a good support system, have people you're talking to. I believe that with pharmacy, you can't do it alone. And I feel like my journey is really a big testament to that. I believe if one person was taken out of my life who I believe contributed to that journey, I wouldn't be where I am today. So you can't do pharmacy by yourself, but it's important for you to have a really good environment behind you, a really good support system. And when it comes to you making a personal decision of you stepping out your comfort zone, just ask yourself why. And if you can answer that, go for it.
Nice. I love the I can't. We use that in my house. We use it on Lily. But we turn it around and say, okay, if you say I can't, add in I can't do this right now, but these are the steps I can take to get me to that point. So when she was like learning to ride a bike or
Yeah.
like, you know, doing different things, like a lot of it actually is with the mental mindset or something physical she's trying to overcome.
Yeah.
I can't do this right now, but I will be able to. I can in the future.
Yeah.
And these are the reasons why. And we love that.
I love that.
I'm so glad we got to record this episode. I'm so
happy.
glad that you're here and I got to share your story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Obviously, we're doing round 2.
Yeah,
So
round
the
2.
next episode is all about your journey into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Here's a mistake most people make when choosing a supplement: considering the source of the ingredients. Many supplements use synthetic vitamins within their ingredients. This means they have been made in bulk in factories to mimic natural vitamins. They are chemically identical to vitamins found in nature and often more cost-effective and widely available. However, and this is the most important point to remember, natural supplements and those that come from plants, fruits, or other natural sources have additional benefits and often contain extra nutrients, fibers, and plant compounds that support your overall health, and they are generally easier for the body to absorb. Check out thenakedpharmacy.com, where you can find naturally sourced supplements for your health and well-being. Use code PD20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase.